I believe the Hinman Docs were far more than we could have hoped for. I think a lot of people feel let down because they were hoping for some sort of Hinman criminality. Look, first of all, people aren't so stupid as to put that type of stuff in government emails. But even further, that's not the point of what we're doing here. That could be for another day, another courtroom. This is about XRP, the fact that it's not a security, and the fact that there are no clear rules out there. And I think that this document is so important. Number one, what we see in this document is the SEC admitting that there's a regulatory gap that they don't want you to know about, that they may not have authority over. I'll quote you the exact part of this. The fact that tokens on a sufficiently decentralized network are no longer securities and no longer are required to register with all the benefits to investors of registration seems to point out what might be considered as a regulatory gap that exists in this space. In other words, this speech acknowledges that there is an other category that's not a security because there's no controlling group, at least not from a Howey sense. Yet, like many other things, there may be a need for regulations to protect purchasers. I've been saying all along, the current law may not, cover digital assets. That probably will change someday. People will have to register and report and all this kind of stuff. But the SEC likely does not have that authority now because these are not securities. The SEC is saying, hey, Hinman, don't tell everyone this. You are admitting what we don't want them to know. A judge can't unread that. She's going to see the SEC internally admitting they may not have dominion over this space, and they're trying to suppress that reality, that fact, from getting out to the public. Make no mistake, we are fighting an uphill battle against a regulator, a U.S. regulator, whose motives are always assumed to be good. It is hard to beat a regulator, and stuff like this will do exactly that because out of their own mouth, their own admission, these are not securities. The judge isn't going out on a limb here, creating a loophole. It's already there and admitted to by the SEC. Legally, at least in their opinion, as the main regulator, they probably can't regulate this class of asset, and if you want to change that, go harass Congress, not investors and entrepreneurs. That disclosure alone is probably worth 1,000 Hinman crimes. So, again, this is a big, big document. Further, the SEC acknowledges that Hinman, his tests that he made up, are outside the spectrum of the Howey test. Essentially, it has no basis in law. And by giving people these tests, he just creates more confusion. And you saw this big rush. Everyone, we're decentralized. We have utility. That doesn't really make a difference. And they can claim that this was just Citizen Hinman giving his personal opinion, but they posted it on the SEC website. The way he delivered that speech, saying, we don't see Ethereum as a security, it clearly was meant to show what the SEC was thinking. And further, Chairman Clayton was pointing people, we have video evidence of this, to that Hinman speech as guidance. Go check it out. That was the purpose here, and it created a lot of confusion. They moved the industry in one way that, again, had no basis in law, gave them no protection. It was just a fool's errand. And so if you're a judge and you have to levy some penalties, are you going to be, severe and bring the maximum, or reading that and say, well, everyone was confused, and the reason why is the SEC's guidance themselves? Well, you're going to lessen that penalty quite a bit. That also can be potentially very powerful. Then we move on to where the SEC says, well, if a coin is used for utility or for a consumptive purpose, well, that's not a security. And they even quote the Supreme Court where they say that. So you look at something like ODL, where there's no investor there. The person buys the coin to send the payment and sell it on the other side. They might hold it for 3 seconds. There is no investment motive there. That could be very, very powerful for Ripple's ongoing business, which is paramount to this whole case. The past, that's settled with the checkbook, but it's the future they need to protect. And the last thing that caught my eye was the SEC saying, this speech is going to make it hard for us to circle back to Ethereum, essentially saying they're not sure. Now, I don't want them to circle back to Ethereum and claim that's a security, but what's important is even the one coin that they spotlight There's some confusion within the agency if even that is compliant. They truly do not know. They are literally making things up day to day, and it's going to be very hard to argue that the rules are very, very clear when the SEC themselves are very unsure. They don't even know if the number 2 crypto in the world, the main altcoin that they used in this speech as a model, they're not even sure if that's going to be regulatory compliant. They have no idea what they're doing. Everyone kept, saying the same thing. It's a nothing burger. Like, you're just parroting some nonsense. This is substantial. This not only affects fair notice, where the SEC is unclear and they don't know what to do and they're not giving proper guidance, but also just an outright win. It almost rubber stamps the judge's ability to say this is just not a securities transaction if she wants to do so. And it's not even her going out on a limb, it's the SEC's own limb there. They said there's regulatory gaps and we may not have authority. They are all but giving her permission to hand this over to Ripple. Does this document guarantee Ripple's victory? No, not even close. And that's not the point. It's just another victory. Paints a very clear picture here for the judge to make her ruling. We've never asked for special consideration. We just want to know what the law is, and this judge is going to give us exactly that. And we couldn't ask for more. For the purposes of Ripple versus the SEC, for the purposes of XRP and regulatory clarity, this is all we wanted here, and a whole bunch more. The Hinman, the criminality, what was his intent? That's a separate issue. Someone should investigate that, but that's not the matter at hand. Now there is truly nothing to do but sit here and wait for summary judgment, and literally everything is done. And so now it's just a matter of time, and I think it's going to be sooner than later. Let me know what you think down below, and as always, please like, please subscribe. The revolution will be televised right here on Jungle Link.